You're listening to The Stephen Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Stephen Tauriello Show. And now, here's Stephen.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. So, an Arizona election chief on the 14th Amendment and Trump eligibility debate, he says you just can't enforce it. And he's right. There's this debate going on, and we made an episode about this. The Democrats and the totalitarians, the fascists, they want to use Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to try and ban Trump from the ballot, to disqualify him from the ballot, but only in certain states. Like it would be a crap show. Let's just put it that way. It would be an absolute disaster if you have certain states removing candidates from the ballot. It's impossible. I mean, look, these people without a doubt want to destroy this Constitution. They're actively destroying our democracy. I know. And it's really hard for me to say that these people wouldn't go to any lengths to defeat Donald Trump, even if that means destroying democracy and the Constitution. But this just goes too far. There's no way to enforce it. It doesn't make sense. The way you have to bend and stretch and twist the law into a pretzel in order for it to get the desired outcome for certain people, it's a nightmare. And, a lot of people think of laws that the framers made as like they're set in stone. Like the law's there, it's written down, you can go there, you can look at it, and it tells you exactly what you need to do. That's not the case, really. It's all about how you interpret the law. A lot of the framers, obviously they can't write every single thing, every single statute, every single law forever. It just doesn't work that way. They built a foundation. They built a frame. That's why they call it the framers. And so really, when it comes to law, it's all about how you interpret the law. And so what I think is happening is these people with Trump derangement syndrome, these completely obsessed, hate-filled, fascist totalitarians on the left, they try and bend the Constitution to get their desired outcome. So instead of looking at the law and seeing how you can apply it for your particular case, what they do is they take a particular case and then try and find a law that best suits their outcome that they want. So whether they got to twist this and add this and kind of just move this around to try and get their desired outcome. That's what they do. And I can't tell you enough how damaging that is to the rule of law. But that's what they're trying to do. It's not going to work. I said this a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Mark Levin actually called this out months ago, and he said they were going to try and do this. It's just not going to work. And a lot of people, I had somebody comment on my YouTube page went into this great depth of detail about how it could and what it means and what officer means and what officer could mean and what it meant back then and all this stuff. It's like, look, if you got to sit there and guesswork to try and get a desired outcome, you're not applying the law right. That's just it. That's how it goes. And so, like I said, Alan Dershowitz came on and shut this down from the first day that they started talking about this. You got a guy in New Hampshire that said he's going to have it. He said he's going to look into it, and then somebody from the House came on the Charlie Kirk show and said that's absolutely not going to happen in New Hampshire. It's a disaster. I mean, it really is a disaster. All these tricks and all these moves are all just to keep Donald Trump from winning the election. They know Donald Trump's going to win. I seen this narrative coming up months ago. As soon as the left, the Democrats, got wave that, yeah, Donald Trump could win because Joe Biden really sucks and the Democrats' ideas really suck. So, yeah, I don't know. The things are looking pretty bad. Maybe they will vote for Donald Trump. Yeah, that's actually going to happen. you're going to have a lot of people say, man, screw this, dude. This is not worth it. Joe Biden is not worth it. A vote for Joe Biden was a mistake, people. Anybody that voted for Joe Biden made a ginormous mistake. Unfortunately, we all have to pay for those mistakes. So Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes made it clear on Wednesday that he believes former President Donald Trump cannot be barred from pursuing a presidential bid in the state, despite what a pair of prominent liberal and conservative legal scholars have claimed. Mr. Fuentes, who oversees Arizona's elections, weighed in on the matter during a recent podcast episode titled The Gaggle, hosted by the Arizona Republic, azcentral.com. He emphasized that despite the arguments presented in an op-ed published by The Atlantic to disqualify President Trump from the 2024 presidential race, citing the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, Mr. Fuentes' hands are tied by a precedent set by a previous Arizona Supreme Court ruling. Quoting the ruling, Mr. Fuentes said, quote, "You can't enforce it." He went on to express his personal disagreement with the court's decision, labeling it as stupid. In an August 19th article featured in The Atlantic magazine, Lawrence Tribe, a liberal law professor, and Michael Ludig, a former federal appellate judge with notable conservative views, put forth an argument stating that the 14th Amendment renders the former president ineligible for a return to the presidency. This is how this all started. This entire Section 3 of the 14th Amendment debacle, this disastrous interpretation of our Constitution, all started with Lawrence Tribe, a leftist liberal, and Michael Ludig, who is a Trump-hating Republican. So two people, and mind you, it was all timed perfectly. When I tell you that these people coordinated with one another, they coordinated between themselves to write the article. So what they do is they write the op-ed, but before they publish it, they call the media so that the media can go ahead and run a story on it the same day. And then the media calls their connections and then spreads it like wildfire. It just spreads like wildfire. And that's exactly what happened. These people, what you're witnessing right now is a gigantic coordinated effort to kneecap Donald Trump to interfere in our elections. These people do not want Donald Trump to win by all means necessary. Their hatred for Donald Trump overpowers their love for the country. They have lost all reason, they have lost all rationale, and they cannot think straight. So these two people, Ludig and Lawrence Tribe, are nuts. They're doing exactly what I said they're doing. They're trying to bend and twist the law, the Constitution, into a pretzel to try and get their desired outcome. They don't want Donald Trump to win. So therefore, they're going to find any means necessary to keep that from happening, regardless of what it destroys, regardless of the precedent that it sets, regardless of what it does to anybody else. It doesn't matter if it disenfranchises 80 to 90 million Americans who want to vote for Donald Trump. They do not care. But what's happening is these people are just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall to see what's going to stick. The same thing with the indictments. This is why you have like 91 indictments that have a possible sentencing of like 700 to 800 years. They're trying to get just one. All they need is one conviction, and then I don't know where it goes, honestly. I really don't. But I want to go ahead and tell you this guy's side of the story. So the argument, and specifically referring to the Section 3 of the 14th Amendment and its stipulation that individuals who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the government are ineligible for holding public office. Now, here's where the problem is. In this particular article, we did a whole show about this. It doesn't say individuals who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. It says officers. Officers. This is key when you're reading this law, okay? The law was written during the Civil War, and what was happening was there were Confederate officers, there were Confederates that were running for Congress, they were running for office, and they were winning. And one of the things that they didn't want any Confederates that actively engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the government during the Civil War to be in the Congress. And so this is where they came up with Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. The problem with officers is the President of the United States is not an officer. And so you really have to try and bend and twist the entire damn interpretation just to get the President of the United States out of the word officer. Number two, It doesn't say anywhere in Section 3 about a candidate. It doesn't say anything about anybody running for president. It's specifically pointing towards anybody that is in office, not running for office. And so, unfortunately, it says the government are ineligible for holding public office. And so, and frankly, just like Alan Dershowitz said, there's no way you can do this, because you can't have a democracy, a functioning democracy, where you have California and New York removing candidates from the ballot. Like, how is that going to work? Who are the people in California and New York going to vote for if their Republican isn't on the ballot? So it creates this huge problem. I mean, it absolutely takes a sledgehammer to the legs of our democracy. I mean, it's our democracy is limping, folks. It is hopping on one leg. And I mean, it's barely hanging on. And so, and it's not because anything Republicans did. It's not even anything that Trump did. They claim Donald Trump did all this damage to the country. They claim he was going to be this big threat, get us into war, destroy our economy, destroy our country. And actually, it's them that's destroying the country with all their shenanigans. So essentially, they're destroying democracy in the name of democracy. It's like, oh, we got to save democracy, so we got to destroy democracy. It's like, what? And this is what they've been doing since day one. Since day one, it's the ends justify the means, no matter how much damage it's doing to the country. And what should have happened, and I've been saying this over and over again, what should have happened in 2016 is Donald Trump won, and then Democrats should have said, okay, better luck next time. But no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen at all. And so really, it's the Democrats that are really to blame for all of this. Because if not for their shenanigans all through the presidential administration, the Trump administration for 4 years, them constantly trying to impeach him, them investigating him, kneecapping him, trying to overthrow a duly elected president, the entire 4 years created nothing but division in this country. So instead of them working on the next election in 2020, they just figured, hey, why not? We'll just try and get rid of this guy through impeachment, investigations, collusion, corruption, whatever it takes. Weaponization of the government, weaponization of the intel agencies. It's like, man, the amount of effort that they put into trying to get rid of Donald Trump is, I've never seen anything like that before. The level of coordination and effort from our intel agencies and our Department of Justice and our political parties, like if they were to coordinate like that towards something good, like we'd be in good shape right now. But they actually, like I said in the last episode, everything is their own self-interest. Nothing's for the betterment of the country or the people. It's whatever benefits them. And so they essentially looked at 80 million people and said, screw you. We're doing what we want. This is where the partisan impeachment came from. And just like in yesterday's episode, we talked about they impeached Donald Trump for looking into the Ukraine corruption. The corruption we now know actually happened. And so therefore that impeachment should be expunged. That impeachment should not be on Donald Trump's record. The guy was asking about corruption, and the Democrats accused him of withholding aid. While simultaneously there was a video airing, there was footage airing of Joe Biden withholding $1 billion in aid to Ukraine. And so, look, it's a giant mess. It's a disaster. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment's not going to happen. It's red meat for the base. These people are sick. They are sick. But I see some people coming to their senses when it comes to how crazy things are getting. Like, the level of damage that the Democrats are causing this country, it's impossible to overstate. And believe it or not, I do see some Democrats actually making sense on this. It seems like there's a little bit of reason and rationale, but not too much. I don't want to give them too much credit. I got an article here, hat tip to Jackson Richmond, August 30th. Democrat congressman says timing of Trump trials shouldn't compromise campaign schedule. Go figure. What do you know? A Democrat that's actually saying, yeah, the timing of these trials seems awfully conspicuous, and there is no way that these trials should hinder with our democratic process, which means that's exactly what the Democrats are trying to do. And so this is why I say there's got to be a judge out there that's going to eventually step in and just put a stop to this. At some point, it's gone too far. All these indictments are nothing but influencing the election. It's nothing but trying to interfere in our election. That is it. And so that's exactly what this Democrat congressman is saying. It's like these indictments should not whatsoever hinder Donald Trump from running his campaign if he's the nominee. So Representative Ro Khanna, a serious leftist Democrat, like this guy's about as left as they get. So Representative Ro Khanna said on August 30th that the timing of former President Donald Trump's 4 trials should not compromise his ability to have a robust campaign schedule if he ends up winning the Republican nomination. Mr. Khanna appears to be the first Democrat to raise concerns about this issue. President Trump and many Republicans argue that the timing of the trials, all of which appear set to occur before the presidential election next November, amount to blatant election interference.
Thanks, Captain Obvious.
So, believe it or not, this is the first Democrat to come out and say, okay, yeah, the timing of all these trials looks a little bit shady. And how is somebody supposed to run a campaign when you got him wrapped up in trials in 4 separate indictments all over the country? You can't. That's impossible. And so, therefore, all these DAs and these corrupt prosecutors are interfering in our election. If they don't stop what they're doing right now, then the 2024 election is going to be null and void. It's not going to be a legitimate election, and nobody's going to consider it a legitimate election if these people do not stop with this election interference. It doesn't matter whatever you say about nobody's above the law, nobody this, nobody that. It doesn't matter. When you're talking about the destruction of our democracy, it does matter. There's no statute of limitations on any of these cases, on any of these indictments. There's no reason why that these indictments cannot be suspended until after the election. And if somebody's reasoning for needing these indictments before the election just goes to show that they want to interfere in the election. They want to kneecap Donald Trump. You know, the right to a speedy trial is not for the government. It's for the defendant. You know, it's like these people are like, well, you have a right to a speedy trial. Yeah, dude, that's for the defendant. That's for a citizen, not the government. The defendant needs all the time they need within reason. But to sit there and have a judge order this trial to be set in 3 months, I mean, that is just blatant, obvious in your face, a violation of due process rights. I would be pissed off if I had a judge to where I had if, mind you, I'm an innocent man being accused of a bunch of BS coming from people that hate me. I want as much time as I need to defend myself. You know, it's not justice for someone to come in, accuse an innocent man of doing something, and then ramrod a trial through so that they can get a conviction. How is the defendant supposed to get anything together? And that's just with the normal trial. But imagine a trial to this scale, this size and scale, this complexity. I mean, my God, man. I mean, so it's at this point, it's clear and obvious that they're trying to interfere in the election. That's what they want to do. And unfortunately, you know, if they don't stop, then somebody's going to have to step in. Either the Supreme Court's going to have to step in and say, look, enough is enough. You're going to put these trials to after the election. And then this is what the crazy part is. After the election, essentially Donald Trump's entire 4-year term is going to be just like his last 4-year term, where he's essentially going to be wrapped up in investigations and impeachments his entire time. These people suck, man. The Democrats are disgusting. They're the most destructive political force this country has ever seen, and they need to be defeated, not just by a little, but by a lot. The American people need to be the ones to tell the Democrat Party, enough is enough. They gotta stop this because they are dividing this country like we've never seen before. They are lighting people's rights on fire. They are destroying our Constitution. They are destroying our democracy. They are destroying the rule of law. They're destroying the trust and transparency in our Department of Justice, in our justice system. If you were going to destroy a country, you would not do anything different than what the Democrats are doing right now. And that's the honest to God truth. Everything that they have done is probably some of the most damaging things you can do to a country. Like trying to remove somebody off the ballot because you don't like him, or trying to remove somebody off the ballot because you accused him of something that you think he did. or you think he's wrong, or he said something wrong, or even worse, he thought something wrong. Like, I mean, the level of totalitarianism in these people's veins, that flows through these people's veins, is uncanny. It is so just obvious the direction they want to take this country. And so hats off to Mr. Ro Khanna here for actually stepping up and saying that it doesn't look right. So, appearing on the Hugh Hewitt show, Mr. Khanna acknowledged that the trial dates should not conflict with President Trump's campaign schedule. He says, quote, "Well, look, I talked to obviously Republican colleagues, and they feel that the timing of it is in one where the charges are too far. I believe that you have to follow the law, and some of the conduct alleged is very, very serious. And you can't just say, okay, because someone was president or someone is a candidate, that you're above the law. Everyone is under the law, and these allegations, the evidence needs to be pursued. But what we're discussing is the timing. And I do think we need to make sure that in the timing, if Trump does emerge as the Republican nominee, that it does not compromise the ability to have a robust campaign schedule." He continued, "And I imagine that the courts will take that into consideration if he is the nominee. You know, he may not be the nominee, that still has to be determined." Unquote. Shortly after Judge Chutkan set the trial date, President Trump blasted it as election interference. Yeah, she set the trial date for the day before Super Tuesday. It's like, it's clear and obvious what these people are doing. I would be so pissed off if this was happening to me. Regardless of the money that this guy is spending on defending his liberty from a pack of deranged psychopaths, but just the damage it's doing to the trust and credibility of our democracy. These people don't even see it. Unless they see it and they just don't care, then they're not really defenders of democracy then, are they? What needs to happen is all these trials need to be suspended until after the election. Period. There's no reason why you wait 2 years to bring all these indictments. You wait a year and a half before election time to bring all these indictments? When you had how long? You had 2.5 years? 2.5 years to bring these indictments. And you bring them a year and a half before the 2024 election? Mind you, you bring them after Donald Trump announces he's running for president? That doesn't look suspicious? So the whole damn thing is clear and obvious what they're doing. And it's unfortunate that we have so many people that support it. Even though they know it's damaging, they know it's divisive, but they want to do it anyways. This is why I say their hatred for Donald Trump prioritizes their love for the country. But then again, these people don't think about anything they do. They are unable to ask themselves the question, and then what? They never look ahead for anything. This is why you see the culmination of just so many bad ideas coming to fruition from the Democrat Party. From energy production all the way to healthcare, all the way to everything. Everything about it, man. Everything about the Democrat Party sucks. Their ideas suck, and they didn't always used to be like that. Certainly when I was a Democrat, yeah, granted, I believed in universal health care. I thought everyone should have health care. I agreed in, I actually supported the Clintons. I supported Hillary Clinton when I was younger. I thought Bill Clinton did a good job, and I figured since Hillary Clinton was his wife that he would kind of be running the show. So I'm like, look, I like Hillary Clinton. And when you're a Democrat, you kind of just expect, you like there to be a machine. Like, they don't look at the government as some deep swamp, corrupt, wasteful, bloated bureaucracy. They look at it as a necessity for the country. No matter how corrupt or how wasteful or how big it is or how oppressive it is against people's rights and liberties, they feel like it's required in order to have a country. They don't look at it the way conservatives do. Conservatives want to cut government in half and shrink it. These people want a bigger government so that the government can pay for everyone's college, pay for everybody's health care, pay for everybody's bills, whatever it is. And the reason why is because they never actually think critically about anything. And so, and also they don't seek the truth. These people do not value truth. They seek narratives, not the truth. And this is why you have them saying things like man can give birth. They know that's not right. They know it's impossible. They know it's dumb, but they say it anyways because they do not value truth. If they actually value truth, then they would come out and say, yeah, men can't get pregnant because men are men and women are women. But they don't value truth, so therefore, this is why there could be unlimited genders. This is why they do some of the stupidest stuff that you've ever seen. Things like walls don't work. These people are as if there hasn't been walls being used to defend cities and kingdoms since the dawn of modern civilization. Not even modern civilization. I mean, walls have been used to protect cities and countries for, I don't know, thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, this new generation of Democrats comes around and all of a sudden walls don't work. It's like, man, and then a defund the police. What a stupid, stupid idea that was. Look how many people that got killed. Look how much damage that caused to these blue cities. I mean, the level of damage is off the charts. It's not even, it's not even quantifiable. The crime rate has spiked so much. And it's not just because of any rule changes they made or actually defunding police departments, but it's the mindset that they forced and shoved down the throats of all of our men and women in uniform. Like, look, if you do something and we don't like it, you will be prosecuted and you will be sent to jail. Like, so these cops are just like, look, I'm not arresting anybody then. Why do it? Why risk my life? Why risk my career and my liberty and my freedom for arresting a black person or for, whatever the case is? And this is why these police officers are reluctant to do anything. And this is why you have a spike in crime rate. And then there are some blue cities that did defund the police by billions of dollars. And same result, you have an uptick in crime. And think about it. Which communities you think suffer the most from having less police? That's right. Mostly black communities. So therefore, these people, these white liberal leftists, cheered and chanted for defunding the police, did nothing but destroy the lower income black communities. The black communities are suffering the most because of these people's dumb ideas. And not just defund the police, but their energy policies too, their energy ideology. These people, their ideas when it comes to energy does nothing but hurt low income families. These low income families don't care what light bulb they use. They don't have the money to go out and buy a $16 LED light bulb. These families don't care what washing machine they got to get, just so long as they have a washing machine. It's like the only people that care about the climate are rich white people. It's like we are entering in a crazy, crazy time in our society. And it's not just here in the United States, it's all over the world. And that brings me to my next point. I mentioned yesterday about there was a kid that wasn't allowed to have a "Don't Tread on Me" patch on his backpack in school. And so there was a teacher that actually removed him from the class, brought him into the office, called his mom because he had a "Don't Tread on Me" patch on his backpack, the Gadsden Flag. And so apparently there was an update to it. The Colorado School Board votes to allow young kid to wear a "Don't Tread on Me" patch on school grounds. So the Vanguard School Board of Directors in Colorado Springs has voted to allow a young student to wear a "Don't Tread on Me" patch on his school backpack. The Gateway Pundit reported in a now viral video that the Vanguard School in Colorado Springs told 12-year-old Jaden, and we're not going to say his last name, that he had to remove the flag because it has origins with slavery and it was disruptive to the classroom environment. When he refused, the child was dismissed. Quote, "The reason that I do not want the flag is due to its origins with the revolution, slavery, and slave trade," the school administration told Jaden's mom. "It has nothing to do with slavery. That's like the Revolutionary War patch that was enslaved when they were fighting the British." All right, so I want to go ahead and play that audio because you guys got to hear this. This is so typical of a leftist and this trying to change our country's history by labeling anything they don't like anything patriotic, even the flag. If these people could, they would try to erase our flag. But I want you to listen to this audio so that you can get just how insane these people are when it comes to our country's history. Here, check this out.
Oh, here you go. Thank you. Do they know what the Gadsden Flag is? That it's a historical flag?
So the reason that they do not want the flag, the reason we do not want the flag displayed, is due to its origins with slavery and slave trade. That is what was, that's the reasoning behind them do not want this displayed.
The Gadsden Flag?
The Don't Tread on Me.
Okay. Which is the Gadsden Flag? Okay. Okay, so he's what's going to happen if he doesn't take it off?
He is able to go. I was actually just telling him, like, I was upset that he was missing so much school. I'm like, so I asked if can he just take his stuff out of his bag and go back to class. Like, I just want him to go back to class. The bag can't go back. It's got a patch on it because we can't have that in and around other kids. So that's what I was trying, and then he said you were close. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with slavery. That's like the Revolutionary War patch that was displayed when they were fighting the British. Like, that's the revolution. Maybe you're thinking of like the Confederate Confederate flag.
Okay, I am just here to enforce. No, I am here to enforce the policy that was provided by the district, and definitely you have every right to not agree with it. I mean,
because the ACLU says that he's allowed to wear that. If you like go on their website, it's like says in big letters.
All I'm saying is that
unless there's like a ban on patches, period. Like if you said there's no patches allowed at the school, you cannot display what you think or anything like that, or what cheer or anything like that. I think it's like one-sided, because you allow some patches but not other patches.
Kids have patches like other names and like the American flag and backpacks.
Yeah. That was like flown during the revolution with I just don't understand that at all.
So what I can do is,
and if you go onto the ACLU's website, let's talk to someone.
I can have you speak to our Jeff Yoakum again, and then he can refer you to our person at the district. Because, like I said, we're following district policy is what we're doing. So. The last thing I want is him out of class.
Yeah, I know.
That's all.
He takes his classes seriously. Yes. He studies. He wants to get straight A's. He did that. He made honor roll when he was here before. Yeah. He intends to do that again right now, but it's hard because he keeps missing class for this. So
I understand that.
Yeah, and we teach him to always stick up for your beliefs. And you're going over the revolution for 7th grade. The founding fathers stood up for what they believed in against unjust laws. This is unjust.
Okay. Like I said, we're upholding a policy that was provided to us, which we have to uphold.
Okay. Can you show me where the policy...
So the Gadsden flag has nothing to do with slavery, and good for that kid. I can't be prouder. I love seeing this. I love seeing this stuff. When a kid stands up for his rights, that's exactly what the founders did for this country. And so when, the race baiter, Al Sharpton, I seen him in a video cut the other day talking about January 6th and how he said something around the lines of, what would the founders think of a bunch of people trying to overthrow a government? Well, first of all, the January 6th was not an insurrection. I don't know how many times these people need to get slapped in the face, but January 6th was not an insurrection, okay? You do not try to overthrow a government with no weapons, okay? Mind you, nobody's been actually charged with insurrection. So if it was an actual insurrection, you would think there would actually be charges of insurrection. Well, there's not. So it's just, the whole thing is just one giant narrative to influence the election. Again, that's all these people do. That's all they think about is just how they're going to retain power, and they will do anything to do it. I've been stating this from day one. January 6th was a false flag operation conducted by the United States government against its own people. That is what it was. I want to know what Nancy Pelosi knew. I want to know what Mitch McConnell knew. There's just way too many facts and questions, and there's just way too many crazy stories that happened that day that just don't make sense. They don't. People like Ray Epps. This other story we just read a couple weeks ago where you had some random guy in sunglasses on a cloudy day, completely covered up, can't see his face, comes out of nowhere with bolt cutters, cuts open the fence, all cool, calm, and collective, unrolls the fence, and just walks away, as if he was deliberately going there to do a job, like he was on a mission, almost like how a gardener goes up to a bush and starts trimming the bush. This guy just went up to a fence with bolt cutters and started cutting a restriction fence, and then just disappeared. It's like, what? Nothing about that day, and there's a list a mile long of all the crazy conspiracies about January 6th, the pipe bomb, the timing of the pipe bomb, how all the video clips that we've seen, the footage Tucker Carlson released after the January 6th show trial. I mean, the show trial itself was a sham. Committee members handpicked by Nancy Pelosi. She rejected the committee members that were picked by the House Minority Leader on the Republican side, and she handpicked her own Republicans. And who did she pick? What do you know? The two people that hate Donald Trump the most, Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney. And so the whole damn thing was nothing but a show trial. That's it. It was like some stuff they do back in the Soviet Union. And so that was about useless. And then they were ordered to retain all their files and documents, and whenever the Republicans regained power in the House, they asked for all their work. They asked for the documents. They asked for the records that they were supposed to retain. And what do you know? Half of them are destroyed. So, I mean, it's just one thing after another. Why would you destroy that stuff that you were deliberately told to hang on to? And why is nobody being held accountable for destroying evidence, for destroying all that stuff? I don't know. I have no idea, man. The whole thing is just a disaster. Anyways, good for this kid for sticking up for himself. And honestly, Colorado School Board, good for the school board. Look, I got to give props where it's deserved. You got to give credit where credit's due. The school board voted to allow the kid to wear the Gadsden Flag patch on his backpack, and good for him. But I think most importantly, I think this would be a great time for the teacher to teach the students a lesson about what the Gadsden Flag is, teach its history, and teach your students how important the Gadsden Flag is to this country, and teach everything about it. Like, see, that's where we differ from Democrats. In a situation like this, conservatives see a good opportunity to teach our young future generations the importance of history and the importance of freedom of speech, the importance to stand up for what you believe and not back down. It's exactly what the founders had intended for this country. And in fact, it's exactly who the founders were. They stood up for what they believed in. Obviously, that's why we're here today. They believed in the American idea. They believed in liberty and freedom. They believed in democracy. They believed in a constitutional republic. And they fought a war because that's how much they believed in it. They didn't back down for nothing. And so I just feel like it was a huge missed opportunity for this teacher to explain to her students just how the whole situation is so important. The flag, how it's important, and it was good for this Jaden kid to stick up for his rights no matter what. You know, he could have easily told the teacher, okay, took the patch off, and then went on with his day, but he didn't. He stood up for what he believed in, and look what happened. It went in his favor. Courage is contagious, ladies and gentlemen, and it's crazy that this kid had more courage than 90% of the congressmen we have in our party, in the Republican Party. Not just the Republican Party, the whole damn Congress. We have no courage anymore. Courage is completely absent in so much of our politics. It's not even funny. And so I kind of want to go through just a few things of where the Gadsden Flag came from. So the Gadsden Flag was featured a coiled rattlesnake, and the phrase "Don't tread on me" has its origins in the American Revolution. It was designed by Christopher Gadsden, a Continental Army officer and politician, in 1775. The flag was a symbol of American patriotism and a representation of the colonists' determination to defend their rights and liberties. The rattlesnake, native to the Americas, was chosen because of its reputation for not striking unless provoked, symbolizing a desire for peaceful relations but a readiness to defend when necessary. Over time, the Gadsden flag has been adopted by various groups and movements in American history as a symbol of resistance and liberty. Yeah. And so, like I said, what a missed opportunity for this teacher. But the thing is these people are totalitarians because they're always trying to erase our history. There's only one side here trying to destroy our statues, folks. There's only one side trying to change our history, trying to tear down statues, trying to tear down monuments, trying to rename post offices, trying to rename schools. It's like they're deliberately trying to erase our history. Like, everybody that has ever taken a 8th grade history lesson knows how important history is to a civilization. It just is. And in some cases, civilizations relied solely on their history as like a way to move forward. If you erase your history, then you cannot learn from your mistakes. And so, and then you have the tendency of just repeating them. It's so incredible how there's only one side here that's trying to erase everything about the past, when it was the Democrat Party that has one of the shadiest pasts out of either of the parties. The Democrats were the creators of, they were a part of the Confederate Army. They fought to keep slavery. Their party was in and out of racism all throughout since its conception, all the way till now, where they support racist movements like BLM, where they, it's constant race with the Democrat Party. They've always been the party of racism. They always will be. We could do a whole episode, and I think we did, back in the eugenics, how the Democrats supported eugenics to stifle the population of the black community. And so here it is. It's like the Democrats, Margaret Sanger, she created eugenics so that she could control unwanted populations, like unwanted races. And so it wasn't just for kids that were less desirable because of their mental challenges or their mental ability or mental capacity, but also for the black community too. She wanted a superior race, and she was going to do it through eugenics. You can go back and listen to that episode. We dive deep into eugenics, where it came from, its history, and what she was wanting to achieve out of using eugenics. And it's just sick. And she was a Democrat. It was all supported by the Democrat Party. I mean, the Democrats have a extremely dark history, man. And so it's no wonder why they want to try and erase it. So anyways, good for that kid. Good for sticking up for himself. I was going to do the story yesterday, and apparently the school board voted today to allow him back into the class with his flag. And what's funny is after he was dismissed from school that day, because you heard the mom, what if he doesn't want to take it off? Well, they made him leave. Go figure that, they would rather see the kid lose a day of education than see a Gadsden flag in the classroom. My God, these people are messed up. Anyways, after they were dismissed from the class, after he's dismissed from school, he goes out to the parking lot and stands in front of a car, a teacher's, or a faculty member's car that has a bunch of leftist bumper stickers on it. And so, I mean, what a great kid, man. You're going to see him. He's going to be a leader one day, and that's exactly the type of kids we need right now. We need those types of leaders leading this country. And, the bumper stickers were like, make America green again. And, the coexist, the typical leftist bumper stickers you see on cars. And it just pointed the sheer hypocrisy of the school. And this is what we see all throughout our society. That it's not hypocrisy anymore, folks. It's hierarchy. These people worship what they worship. They worship the climate. They worship government. And they, instead of trying to debate on ideas, they just want to shove their will down people's throats. And whether that's their leftist ideology, whether that's forcing people to celebrate, the transgendering of kids, the sexualizing of kids, whether that's, just shoving the gay pride down everybody's throats, Christians and all. This is why they force bakers to make cakes that go against the baker's religion. They can't just go to a different business. No, they got to go and cause problems for this guy's business and force him to bake a cake that he does not want to bake because it goes against his religion. Like, that's not good enough for them just to be like, okay, we'll just go somewhere else. If this guy doesn't want to do it, he doesn't want to do it. That's what conservatives would do, right? No, these people take him to court, sue him, make him spend I don't know how much money to go through this legal process, and then all for him to get a ruling essentially saying, yeah, he can bake whatever he wants. You cannot force this baker to make you a cake that goes against his religion. I mean, it's just, but these are who these people are. This is what they do with everything. It's not enough just to accept transgenders in society. No. They have to be celebrated. Everybody must clap and celebrate for the transgenders. And I can think of example after example of why they do this. You know what I mean? It's and I'm not saying that the right doesn't have ideologies, but they don't force it onto the Democrats. Conservatives just want to be left alone. These people that are, the right, the conservatives, Republicans, they honestly just want to be left alone. They would have been perfectly fine if you leave them and their family, just so long as they can make a decent living, pay for their child's health care, and, but now the leftists have had control of our culture and our society for so long, and they've destroyed everything. Now these people are being called to action. And this is why you see such a big uprising from the right in support of Donald Trump and anti-abortion, and the list goes on and on. But I never see conservatives force their will on anybody. If anything, conservatives are constantly trying to what? Conserve. That's what they do. And what do leftist progressives do? They're always trying to progress. And so you're always going to have a constant headbutt there. But you have one side just trying to conserve what we already have, and you have the other side trying to change everything that we have. And the problem is that their changes suck. Their ideas suck. And so, but they've had a stranglehold on our culture and society for so long. This is why you see what we're seeing right now. This is why you see all the destruction happening all around us, is because progressives have had the ball in their court for so long. And the Republicans and conservatives just kind of sat back with their feet up, wanting to stay out of it because that's just the way they are. And this is what happens. They just took control of everything and just ran roughshod over all of it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's actually all I got for today. If you couldn't tell, I'm not really feeling all that good. But I still didn't want to. I didn't want to not do content. I'm trying my best to get the show out. There's no way I was, I'm not letting it, whatever it is, I'm not letting it keep me down. And also for those of you that were wondering about the hurricane here in Florida, it's north of me. I'm actually in mid Florida towards the East Coast, and the hurricane went right up north into the Panhandle, up into Georgia. But man, it's a disaster up there. What a bad hurricane. It actually was a Cat 3. Right before it made landfall, it went up to a Cat 4. Then shortly after landfall, it went back down to a Cat 3, but still a lot of catastrophic damage. I think I read 4 to 8 feet of storm surge. That's flooding, massive flooding up north. So thoughts and prayers go out to the families up there and anybody that's struggling. I know Ron DeSantis took a break from the campaign to come down here and do what he does best, and that is take care of his residents, take care of his fellow Floridians. The guy is a kick-ass governor, and I know a lot of people feel a lot better now that he's back in Florida and taking care of this hurricane and the aftermath of this hurricane. But yeah, those of you that were wondering, I am okay. Everything's good. We didn't even hardly get anything, just a little bit of wind, some rain. Actually, not a little bit of wind, a lot of wind. It was really windy today. Other than that, perfectly fine. But I appreciate you reaching out. I appreciate you asking. That means a lot to me. I really love, I love the audience that we're building on this show. All of you are great. And, to me, I always felt like the audience is the key to any show. Whether it's radio, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a TV show, whatever it is, the audience makes the show. And, I want this show to be like one giant happy family. That's what I want my listeners to feel welcomed. I want them to be able to reach out to me whenever they want. It's essentially, we're going to be like one giant happy family here. So I appreciate you reaching out and checking up on me. It means a lot. And yes, I am okay. Everything's good. Just make sure you pray for the people up north that actually did get hit with this hurricane and got hit pretty bad by it. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for today's show. I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you could, please share the show with your friends and family. I would really appreciate that so we could beat the algorithm. Make sure we got to get the show out there for everyone to hear. Just like I told you on yesterday's episode, I am starting to promote the show on Instagram and Facebook. I'm starting to get that figured out and starting to focus a little bit more attention on promoting the show on those platforms. We're still on TikTok. We're still on all the other platforms. Rumble seems to be catching up on some of the videos, but again, I still have to upload manually. I'm going to try and continue to do that. So if you could, follow the show on Rumble, follow the show on YouTube while we're still there. I don't know how long that's going to last. And yeah, just share the show. That's all we can do. Inform our fellow citizens, because informed people make the best decisions. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you for tuning in. I want you guys to have a good day. Have a great week. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.